Hi everyone, Matt Simmons here, and in this video I want to take you through the Level 4 Sales Executive Apprenticeship, what the sessions are going to look like and what the overall learning journey is. Now, on the image you'll see here, this is our learning journey that we have designed, and it's been designed in a way to mirror that of a deal that you would work on and the stages that would go through. Now, how we're going to be running this is once we get through induction, these are going to be broken down into masterclasses where we're going to focus on core aspects of the KSBs that you need to learn as part of the apprenticeship. And those purple triangles are full days and the green triangles are half days. In between each session, you'll see these gold stars, which are our one-to-one tutorial days. Now, these are what we're going to call tutorial days, skills coach days, and these are optional, but I would highly recommend you take some time on those days to book in with myself or your facilitator who's running this with you. So what we're going to be looking at is Masterclass 1, 2 and 3, and then we're going to go into an action learning clinic. And as I mentioned, this learning journey has been designed to closely mirror a deal that you would work on, for example, moving it through the pipeline. So we need to start off with sales foundations and market mapping. What are the fundamental aspects and foundations of making not only a great salesperson, but what sales is? What do we actually sell? And more importantly, who are we actually selling to? Then we're going to look at Masterclass 2, where we look at prospect and pipelining. So we're going to be looking at how do we actually do everything from warm leads to cold outbound through multi-channeled prospecting to get in front of these ideal customers that we want to win. Then, like a deal, once you've got that first meeting, you go into that customer engagement, that discovery process, and it's really focused on rapport building and qualification, and ultimately, how do we find out what they need? Then when we go into the action learning clinic, this is a chance for you to share with us things that you want to cover off. We can have a bit more of a group conversation. We'll also recap the last 3 sessions, so it's a bit of a refresher, and also it's a chance for us to do a bit of role play and put these techniques into practice. But it's a good chance to practice some new techniques if they are new for you in a safe environment where there's no risks. Because again, we don't want to perhaps try something new for the very first time in front of a brand new prospect. Then moving on from that, we're going to be looking at building value and pitching with story. So look at some storytelling techniques. Because one, when we look at pitching, it's not just enough to say what we do, we've got to really explain it for the customer and the relevance and how it impacts them. But also it blends brilliantly into our 6th session, which is what we're going to call our presentation observation. So one of the methods that you need to be assessed on is with a presentation and a sales pitch. So it'll give you a chance in between the sessions to start building that presentation and what it could look like, and you can run it for your learners and get some really good feedback from each other, and ultimately come together as a strong learning cohort to support and develop not only ourselves but each other. Following on from that, we'll look obviously at objection handling, so ways that we can identify different types of objections from smoke screens to contingencies, how we can handle negotiation, whether it's a transactional, a strategic, partnership negotiation, to ultimately move deals forward before we look into things like closing, mutual action plans, which are becoming more and more key, especially if you sell something that is complex. And then obviously account management and expansion. So once we've landed a client, how can we grow it? Then we'll be looking into the final session around integration and overall sales mastery. Once we get through that, it then comes into the final gateway review. So throughout this process and this program, we're going to be assessing you on our understanding of where you're at with understanding the KSBs, the knowledge, skills, behaviours you need to demonstrate to pass the apprenticeship. And once we've signed that off, then you're into what's called your EPA, your endpoint assessment. And that's broken down into 3 things. It's a work-based project, which will be a 5,000-word essay with supporting evidence. So one of the things with that, you won't have to write that from scratch. Throughout your masterclasses and in between, there will be some work-based assignments for you to ultimately start writing that sooner rather than later. Also, the presentation and sales pitch, we've broken down to 2 things. I believe it's a 10-minute sales pitch and a 15-minute presentation on your company, where you're going to get Q&A from the assessor. And then finally, the professional discussion. So another workbook that you'll be working on is your own feelings, your thoughts, your interpretations, and answers to different questions around some of the KSBs. So you'll be able to write that evidence throughout this program. So when you're ready to go into your EPA, you can go straight into your professional discussion where you'll be meeting with an assessor to answer a number of their questions.